how much more can they get bombed? How many more leaders do they, they're still human, whether they're no matter how ideological they are, when they see all the other commanders and their supreme leader killed, it makes it very hard to have the nerves to continue the war. But we've seen that happen in the Middle East time and time again. So as long as they have the nerve and a lot of them have vengeance in their hearts after the death of their supreme leader, put that along with the economic benefits of this war for them. And yeah, they've just got a recipe for being incentivized to continue the war. And I just saw a report right now that according to Iranian media, to ISNA, Iran lawmakers are calling to continue the war until the enemy is deterred. So that's the...
Yeah, and they know this 2 to 3 week period as well as I do, right? It's wide open. It's very easy to do the calculus of where supply chains start, but you can see it already, right? We got people walking to work in the Philippines. We've got, one every 5 day by license plate in South Korea. You've got the Japanese talking about pledging their FX reserves against oil futures to try to sell them down. You've got Scott Bessent unsanctioning Russian oil while the Russians are targeting American targets for the Iranians. You've got him unsanctioning Iranian oil while we're at war with Iran. If you wanted a clearer read on, when the history books of this period are written, they are going to point to those episodes, the Bessent unsanctioning Russian oil, and then unsanctioning Iranian oil, and then pointing out how stock markets and bond markets and all just we're still completely, credulous. All of this is going just like it was planned. And they're going to go, what were they thinking? How could they have possibly taken that as anything other than it's not going the way they thought it was? It's going to be like, in Vietnam, where, and I'm not saying this is going to be another Vietnam of that level, but what I'm saying is, there's a great Netflix series, Turning Point Vietnam, that's up. It's a 5-part series. And there's this fascinating one of the episodes where they interviewed Dan Rather from CBS and Morley Safer from CBS, who were young field reporters then. And they said every day in Saigon, the press corps would show up and the U.S. Central Command would tell them, hey, we killed this many, Viet Cong and NVA, and we suffered this many losses, and it's going great. And, get on the team, get on sides, be on the team, guys. And that literally said, get on the team. And after a while, Safer and Rather started kind of questioning the official narrative. And so they hopped in a Jeep and on their own dime and went out with the guys, went out with the soldiers. And they're like, holy cow, like our guys are fragging their own officers. The Viet Cong are really, really good at fighting, which you would stand to reason after 30 years of fighting or 25 years of fighting at that point. They probably had some good fighter and good tactics. And they found that what CENTCOM was telling them in Saigon was apples and oranges to what was really happening in the field. And I think this New York Times story of, hey, U.S. 13 Mideast bases are quote unquote largely uninhabitable after these Iranian missile attacks, I think was sort of like the Morley Safer and Dan Rather moment of like, guys, like the official narrative isn't exactly how it's going. And again, I'm not saying that to be anti-American. I'm not saying that because I hope we lose. I think we will eventually win. My whole point as a market practitioner is we have 2 to 3 weeks to win until the global economy collapses. And we're not going to win in the next 2 to 3 weeks based on what I know, unless we have this wonder weapon that wraps it all up this weekend while markets are closed.